does it say, John? Oh, I can't find my
It says gifts of the sun.
gifts. Well, what are they going to give us?
The air, if you're not quiet.
Starring apricots, peaches, prunes, raisins, dried by the sun. Oh, produced by Del Monte. John,
Yes.
who are those people?
Hitchhikers going along for the ride.
Oh. Narrated by Dr. Sunshine. Oh, well, that's silly.
No, it isn't, Mary. This is one story the sun tells better than anyone else. You know, it's a big job to be the sun. There are a lot of climates, a lot of countries to look after, to keep vigorous and healthy. I do right well at it, too, if I do say so myself. But down there in one corner of the earth is a spot called California, where I've been, well, sort of extra liberal with my talents. Why? Well, they've got some soil and water just suited to growing things, fruit trees especially. When I spot a setup like that, tailor-made, you might say, I just naturally pour it on, with the result that if you set out to find the best apricots on Mother Earth, you'd sooner or later end up there, in a place called the Santa Clara Valley. Close by, in the same peaceful region, you'd run into the world's finest prunes, with a bloom of health on their cheeks that I put there by hand. For plump, flavorful peaches, you'd head for the Sacramento and San Joaquin Valley. There you'd find them in abundance, tender, mellow, and full of flavor. For the world's finest grapes, you'd look to the San Joaquin Valley, rightfully called the grape basket of a nation, and your mouth would simply water over those luscious amber morsels, just bursting their skins with sugar and goodness. Now, proud as I am of this job, I don't want to seem boastful about my end of it. After all, I have to work with earth and water to produce this wonderful fruit. Then it's up to men to use it wisely. One of the wise ways they found long centuries ago is the preservation of fruit by drying. I want to tell you about that. Now, I've seen a lot of fruit drying in my time, but the best job I know is done under the eagle eye of Del Monte, one of the world's great factors in the dried fruit industry. So follow closely and see how Del Monte puts me, old Dr. Sunshine, on their dried fruit payroll. Of course, to produce good dried fruit, you've got to begin with good, sound, fresh fruit. That's important.
Why, I always thought dried fruit was just the leftovers.
Leftovers, Mary. Not a bit of it. Much of California's finest fruit is grown especially for drying. 70% of her apricots and raisin grapes, more than half her freestone peaches, almost her entire prune crop. Does that look like leftovers? No, ma'am. Dried fruit is a mainline industry from start to finish. Year after year, I've watched Del Monte buyers go out to those favored fruit-growing regions and literally comb them over, buying only the better crops for their dried fruit pack. As a result of this, and I can vouch for it, Del Monte quality is built on selected fruit. Of course, selected fruit means more than fruit from favored areas. It also means fruit of perfect ripeness, and I'll tell you why. If it isn't ripe and just about running over with sugar and sweetness, it's no good for drying. The resulting product will be flat and tasteless. There's no second guess on a deal like that. Fruit is either ripe or it isn't, and you can't hang it back to ripen once you pick it too soon. So Del Monte stipulates that constant checks be made in the field. Ripeness is the rule, full sugar content the measuring stick on any and all fruit earmarked Del Monte. Not until those plump parcels of nature are almost bursting with sugar is the go-ahead given the pickers. That's the way it is with peaches, grapes, and apricots. It's up to men to time the ripeness. But over in the prune department, I hold the stopwatch myself. The prunes sit up there basking in my warm rays until sugar content reaches a peak. That's the instant of perfect ripeness. At that moment, I kind of press a button and the prune lets go. Before they parachute to earth, the soil is carefully prepared so they land on a nice soft cushion. When the pickers gather them up by hand, each prune is perfectly ripe, and that's a fact. Selected fruit destined for Del Monte. But Del Monte selection means more than favored areas or ripe perfection. It also applies to the care with which the fruit is dried. So let's hop along and watch the drying.
Why don't they hold still? Don't they want to be dried?
Hold your horses, John. This is a special step for prunes before they go to the dry yard. They get dipped here in a mild alkaline bath which checks the skins with microscopic cracks. Out in the dry yard, those unseen cracks become tiny escape valves for moisture. As I turn on the heat, they speed up evaporation, and nothing is lost but the moisture.
John,
What now?
do you think all the moisture is taken out?
Oh, ask the doctor.
No, Mary, not all the moisture, but most of it. And here's why. Fresh fruits contain some 70 to 85% water. If all this were left in, the fruit in time would spoil. So by drying, we reduce the moisture to about 15 or 20%. Just enough is left in to form a concentrated syrup, so high in sugar content that it acts as a natural preservative. The fruit, if properly handled and protected, will keep for a long, long time. Okay?
Okie dokie, Doctor.
Now, in drying raisins, no alkaline bath is needed. As a matter of fact, grapes can be left on the vines and I'll turn them into raisins right there. But growers have learned that I work faster and better if the fruit is picked and laid in the open. So the rich, ripe clusters are placed on trays right in the vineyards, and I proceed to concentrate their sugars. With peaches and apricots, things are a bit more complicated. These fruits go from orchard direct to cutting tables, after which they're fully qualified to say, "Let me tell you about my operation." Halved and pitted, those ripe golden beauties will give up their moisture quickly and without a struggle. Now here's where science comes to the aid of sunshine. If this fruit went directly to the dry yard, certain undesirable changes would take place. To forestall those changes, it is treated in tightly closed rooms with fumes of burning sulfur.
Sulfur? Wait a minute, Doctor. My wife likes untreated dried fruit.
She wouldn't if she knew the facts, John, and I'll tell you why. In the first place, the purpose of the treatment is to stabilize the color of the fruit. In the second place, to stabilize its valuable vitamin C content. The only known practical agent to accomplish this needed job is fumes from burning sulfur. Del Monte uses this approved method because it gives protection without penalty to taste, food value, and quality. When sunbath time comes, those orchard queens stretch out and relax like bathing beauties at the beach. Then I take over, removing the moisture little by little, but leaving intact all the food value in the fruit. Of course, there's no thermostatic control on me, Dr. Sunshine. So Mr. Grower has to watch the timing and take the fruit in at the prime of condition. And, in the case of raisins, give me an even chance on both sides of the stack. So you see how it is. I take 3 to 6 pounds of fresh fruit, depending on variety, and with the help of the grower, reduce it to 1 pound of dried fruit. Then my work is done. Our selected fruit is ready for the packing house and Del Monte. If I tried to tell you in one word the secret of Del Monte quality, that word would be control. Control built on countless safeguards, of careful grading, of cleanliness, of minute inspections and scientific processing. Del Monte control begins at the front door of the packing house. Here prunes get a vigorous shaking to remove twigs, leaves, and twine. All fruits are test graded for size and quality, but that's hardly a start. Del Monte knows that to every purchaser, the size and uniformity of dried fruit are mighty important. To catalog it, Del Monte really goes to town. Not by guess, not by human say-so, but by the unfailing accuracy of machines. Fast mechanical shakers that jog the fruit along to the first trap door that fits. Bingo, it plops through, automatically classified to uniform sizes. When Del Monte labels say fruit is such and such a size, this machine's the guarantee, and it just can't miss. Of course, that's only size. it doesn't say anything about quality of the fruit. I'll come to that later. Another chapter in control is raisin stemming. After the sweet, meaty raisins have been removed from their main stems and accurately graded for size, Del Monte goes after the cap stems, those stubborn little fellows that buckle Mr. Raisin to the main stem. For this, another machine goes into action. Inside its whirling meshes, raisins play a game of crack the whip. Raisins travel one way, stems fly off the other. And is this a boon to housewives?
Just think, John, in the old days I had to pick over every raisin and pull those pesky stems by hand.
More cleanliness control. This is not a raisin racetrack, but a series of powerful magnets. Del Monte guarantees it won't pull the iron out of the raisins.
That's a gag, Mary, in case you didn't know.
Right, John, but it does remove any nails or bits of iron that sneaked in from the drying trays or lug boxes. Next, Del Monte goes after fifth columnists, any little stones and pebbles that try to pretend they're raisins. That's easy. They're taken with the raisins for a swim in a fresh water washer. Pebbles are trapped at the bottom, and that's the end of that. So it is with every dried fruit in the Del Monte line, cleansed time and time again with special equipment tailored to special needs, doused, dunked, plunged and bathed in fresh water changed by the second, whirled in efficient rotary washers so fast they must be slowed for the camera to see them. They're back scrubbed with soft bristle brushes, which in actual practice whirl at miles a minute. Tubbed in warm water, showered with cold. It isn't done once, it isn't done twice. It's done again and again and again in every manner of cleaning equipment, in clean, fresh water constantly changed. And when those sparkling fruits finally emerge from their ordeal, they're really clean, and how.
I get it, Doctor. You mean they're clean.
Yes, but there's more to come. For beyond that efficient cleaning, Del Monte takes further measures to preserve and protect that treasured cleanliness all the way to the consumer. This added control is known as processing. Processing is adjusted to the nature of the fruit. For peaches and apricots, it means a last light sulfuring, final stabilization of vitamin C and color. Prunes, being of different nature, are processed in boiling water. In the processor, they travel an automatically controlled journey designed to retain their natural flavor and goodness. Emerging, they are not only clean, but softened, which partially explains a fact well known to housewives, that Del Monte prunes need not be soaked overnight for cooking. Yes, Del Monte control is a pattern of many parts, some of them human, some machine. And of these, none more important than the inspection crews, guardians of the inspection belts, who, with quick hand and eager eye, stand watch over final quality. Past this sharp-eyed reviewing line, dried fruits march on dress parade. Hands and eyes go to work. Out go imperfect specimens, broken-skinned or blemished pieces. For any and all shortcomings, the delinquents are, as they say in the law courts, summarily ejected.
John, what does that mean, that summarily ejected?
Thrown out. What you'll be if you don't stop talking.
What was superior fruit in the field is now, thanks to Del Monte control, superior dried fruit, ready for the consumer. So let's move along to the weighing tables, where accurate weight of every fruit and every carton is a Del Monte watchword. To assure full measure, scales are set for more than the weight shown on the package. This tolerance is an offset to the natural evaporation that takes place after packaging. No matter when the carton is opened, the buyer is sure to receive full value. Now, what would be the use of all this care in fruit selection and handling if the product didn't reach the consumer in proper condition? The answer is none. So Del Monte's protective packaging is a vital step in the delivery of a quality pack. Protective packaging. To Del Monte, that means special cartons for special types of fruit. Peaches, prunes, and apricots take the famous triple seal, the first seal being a specially developed paper liner formed automatically and tightly sealed. Over the liner, a second seal is formed, a husky cardboard carton.
It goes so fast I can't follow it. Oh, thank you.
Del Monte's colorful label wrap provides the third and final seal. Beneath those triple-breasted jackets, Del Monte quality resides in safety. But still another safeguard is added, a code number, mechanically stamped on the package, by means of which Del Monte can identify all of its packages right through to the consumer. For seedless raisins, Del Monte employs the exclusive and famous wax wrap pack. The carton is filled direct, weighed and sealed. Then something magic happens. A marker passes before an electric eye, which, with a single wink, measures off a Del Monte label nice as you please. A very special Del Monte label, impregnated and coated with wax. An electric ironer seals the seams and locks the pack up tight. Those heavy, meaty raisins are now encased in a solid wall of wax, so secure you could sink it in water. Let it stand for hours, and when rescued from the briny deep, those tender Del Monte raisins would be as perfect as the moment they entered the carton. Nothing gets in, nothing gets out. That's protective packaging. There's still a lot I haven't told about dried fruit. Another whole story could be woven around the handling of seeded raisins. Their seeds removed in much the same way cotton seeds are removed by the cotton gin. Nor did I tell you that an important part of the prune crop is now dehydrated mechanically. The results are the same as drying my own rays. I just thought I ought to mention it. But we've had to travel fast, so I've given you highlights. Highlights that show the eternal vigilance Del Monte devotes to dried fruit. In the careful selection of fruit, thoroughly ripened, scientifically dried, so only the best becomes Del Monte. In rigid packing house control, exercised through endless sequences of grading, cleansing, inspection, and scientific processing. In ceaseless devotion to honest measure, safeguard to every customer's pocketbook. In protective packaging, wax wraps or triple seals that deliver dried fruit fresh and clean to the consumer's table. No wonder they're good. No wonder they're famous. Theirs, from tree to table, a precious heritage of quality. Quality built by sun and modern science. Quality built by a vigilant Del Monte.